Hello, welcome to Claret and Blue. My name is Dan Roberts. I'm joined once again for the final time in the US of A by John Townley, live from the press box in Maryland. Is it Maryland? Maryland? I'm not quite sure how to pronounce it. I've probably embarrassed myself. But John, how are you? How's things?
Yeah, good, thank you. Bit of a rush, the post-match stuff. I only just finished speaking to Unai, so just gathering my thoughts now, really. I would show you around the press box, but I don't think I'm allowed to. It's a huge stadium.
Can we have a quick glimpse?
So this is just a bit of an area, which shows nothing. But the actual press box and stuff's more that way and whatnot. So, yeah, I hadn't had my lunch till about 3 o'clock because I didn't put the food out till the game finished. And obviously I've got to get away to do the press conference and stuff. So I've got a full belly and I'm ready to do the podcast.
I mean, we always do a food update, don't we? So let's get that out of the way quickly as well. What was it? What was the food in the USA press boxes?
I had some rice and some chicken, which is standard. Of course. Yeah, but this time it was free. That was really nice. I had seconds as well. They had like a curry thing too. So nice. I'm not sure what I ate, but I was so hungry that it just went down me. So I'm going to go back for thirds as well and probably stash up before I go back tomorrow.
We'll have a bit of a general chit chat towards the end about like the tour coming to a close and like things to come in the rest of pre-season. Obviously, we're here today to talk about Aston Villa 3, Brentford 3, Villa's second 3-all draw of the summer pre-season series thing, which I'm not quite sure what's happening with the Chelsea game at the moment, but Villa could theoretically still win this trophy thing, which would
not unless Fulham turned around 2-0.
Oh, is it? Okay, fair enough. We're recording this at almost 9 o'clock on Sunday night. I'm hoping this will be out ASAP, by the way, because we're going to kind of try and keep this pretty quick. You're obviously still, as people watching will be able to see, in the press box, and you'll get kicked out at some point, so let's kind of get through this. Just talk me through the game and your general thoughts then. I thought, despite conceding 3 goals and it looking like, Villa have conceded 3 goals again, we played some good football there today, haven't we? And that's nice to see.
Very similar to literally the same as the Newcastle game away, because that finished 3-2. But my thoughts after that were really positive because Villa had some really good spells where they attacked well, they controlled the game well, and I think everything that we said about Newcastle, you could probably say for Brentford this afternoon or this evening, depending on where you watched it. A lot of positives. Clearly some teething problems with how we've set up. Ultimately, I think the Silva's goal was a stunning goal. We concede a penalty, which is, and then
it can happen, can't it?
Yeah, and then again, it's not ideal, but Lewis, is his name Lewis Potter? I was about to say Harry Potter. Kane Lewis Potter hits the crossbar from range as well, and then it falls to their place. So yeah. What I would say is that Villa weren't carved open at any points, whereas we're doing the carving open. We're carving open other teams, if that makes sense. So I think we're in a good position heading into the final 2 games of pre-season. These games have been really positive. Brentford are a team who are really well organised. Emery respects them a lot, and they're so quick on transitions as well. So they were happy for us to knock the ball around, whereas Newcastle were more stepping onto us, So we've played a variety of different teams from the last 3 games at least. Obviously, Walsall first, and then you got Lazio and Valencia, 2 completely different teams again. So I think we'll be in a good place come St James's Park in 2 weeks, I believe. Yeah,
it's also interesting the kind of parallels to the first Newcastle game and the first post-match show we did, where you said that the water break was kind of pivotal for Villa being ahead in the game and could have pushed on to be 3 or 4-0, and the water break kind of disrupts that. It was the opposite in this game this evening. I was watching it on Sky, and they had all the cameras around at half-time, and they were going in on Thomas Frank's mini team talk thing, and he got his tactics board out and whatnot, and it all went to pot after that, really, with Villa coming back after scoring 3 goals after being 2 down. I wanted to see Unai's side of those things. I wasn't really bothered about Thomas Frank, although, as you said, I kind of do respect Brentford, and Frank's a good manager as well. But ultimately, it's like we've said in each of these so far, Walsall, Newcastle, Fulham, and then this evening, it is still just about fitness, and as much as conceding 3 goals is slightly annoying, one of those is a wonder goal and one is deflected off the crossbar, which could have been a wonder goal in itself. I don't think there's too much you can read into it massively. It's the first one, isn't it, that I suppose is the one that we could look into more so than the others, that it's a ball through the Villa's high line. I don't know, it's along the floor over the top, but Villa kind of get caught out by that a little bit. And the penalty was clumsy, probably, from Conte, a pre-season challenge, I would put it down to. I don't think he's that kind of player, generally speaking, but coming together, it's a penalty, whatever. Martinez is usually good at saving them, didn't on this occasion, and that's not really the point here. It's that Villa possibly are susceptible to being punished by this high line, but the rewards that come from playing that way will outweigh the odd goal that you concede from it. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, and I think Brentford are one of the best teams in the league on transition as well. They've got a lot of quick players. Sharda, obviously, who wins the penalty, and Mbeumo is rapid. So that's why they were happy for Villa to sort of play in front of them, which again is good for us because it's just a different test. And Villa were building up in a 3 today with Pau Torres obviously playing left back, but it was a back 3 when we were in possession and camped in their half for most of the game. Being asked to deal with those problems, that's fine. If we have to give away a penalty in this pre-season game, so be it. It teaches us a lesson for when we play teams like Brentford again next season, or if we're in those same situations. So no problem with it for me. Yes, it's every goal is avoidable when you're Unai Emery. So he'll look at that and analyse it. And he said after the game that he's looking forward to sort of getting through this analysis of the game because it's going to teach him different things. And as I say, he respects Brentford quite a lot. And I think overall it's a good. It was a good game to play, and there's different parts of it that he'll look at and we'll learn from it. And that's what you need from these games.
Let's talk to me a little bit about Pau Torres then, kind of that left back 3 hybrid, whatever you want to call it as. When we were talking in pre-season, I guess, about who's going to play at centre-half, we're now stacked with Mings, Konsa, Pau Torres and Diego Carlos, which 2 goes into 4. Have we seen possibly a solution there this afternoon? There's something that we could do going into next season as well, playing this kind of makeshift back 3 system?
Yes, I think it's probably more so that we'll see it with Konsa playing as a right back because Alex Moreno, I think, is so important to how we play. And yes, he wasn't there today, obviously, and that's why we saw Torres trialled in that position as Konsa was previously. But we know Konsa can do that role well, and Pau Torres was fine today. But I just don't think he'd drop Moreno over Cash. Good experiment, and he'll take something from it. But I can't see that's something that they'd be doing too much next season. But the game is Premier League teams, with every passing minute, managers are changing the tactics and stuff. So Villa can do that with 10 minutes to go against Crystal Palace at home. You know what I mean? Like every margin counts next season. So if that's something we can do, then it's worth trying in games like this.
Yeah, I would quite like us to try and do some kind of like in-depth, it probably won't be me doing it, but somebody with a better understanding than me, do like an in-depth kind of tactical look at Villa's makeup now with the squad that they've got, because you look through the first team today and the depth that is now available on the bench, almost forgetting that Moreno and Jacob Ramsey are nowhere to be seen, and John Duran is still at Bodimore Heath as well. Villa have got so many options now and can play in a different manner of positions that players can shift across them and cover a couple of spaces. Diaby could play off the right-hand side, or he could play the second striker role that he did with Watkins this afternoon. Jacob Ramsey comes in and plays off the left. Jadon Philogene has had a kind of breakthrough pre-season so far, and you would probably expect him to stick around as well. I don't know whether Emery discussed that this afternoon or not. It would be slightly strange to me for him to have started 3 pre-season games and then be loaned out, but you never know, these things do happen. But you'd suspect he would possibly have a role to play next season as well. And you look at that core group now of 17, 18 maybe, and think it doesn't just give us 11 players to fit into a 4-2-3-1 and be kind of rigid and you've got 2 players for there and 2 players for here. It's Villa can mix and match and do a range of things now, and I think that's very important and will be something that we see quite a lot of over the course of what could be a 50-plus game season.
Yeah, that's crucial. And again, this is why we're doing these games, because Emery can try different things. And he's already mentioned a few times that they're playing different players in different combinations, different positions. That's what he wanted out of this. And obviously he was asked in the press conference what were his thoughts overall from the pre-season. And he mentioned that the best thing about it was that you could trial different things, but also use different players, because yes, he already knows how John McGinn's going to play and Tyrone Mings, but it's also using, as you say, Dan Philogene. He said yesterday, I asked him about him in his pre-match, and he said that he's been pleasantly surprised by him. Words to those effects. Villa have had offers for Philogene, and I don't doubt that he was probably expecting to leave the club. But once you're given an opportunity, because Leon Bailey wasn't available from the start of the pre-season, you got to take it. It's similar in a weird way to when I remember when Jacob Ramsey had a free run at the number 10 position. I think Jack Grealish was missing a couple of years ago. Maybe it was to do with the Euros or something. I'm not quite sure, but he had 3 or 4 games where that was his position and he was going to play in those games. And if he impressed, then Smith was always going to play him, and that's exactly what happened. It feels similar for Philogene. He's had an opportunity. Yeah. He's impressed whether he's taken it or not. I presume he has, because Emery has been impressed by him, and he fits a role as well. I don't know quite how to word it, but he's not just a tricky winger. He reminds me a little bit of when Victor Moses played like right wing back for Chelsea. A team that's like littered with stars, but then he performed a function that just worked really well. I'm not saying that Philogene is going to play right wing back or things like that, but I
think that's a good comparison. That's a good shout.
But he performs a role that is just very useful, and he can do different things. And those, he's not a utility man, nothing like that. But for what Emery wants, he knows he can. Well, he doesn't know if he can trust Philogene to do it in the Premier League yet, but in this pre-season, he's proved that he can fulfil a different sort of role. So I think he should be staying around.
Yeah, I saw somebody on social media say that for Emery, it's not so much about what player can play in a certain position, it's what attributes they bring to the side. And if somebody offers something slightly different, it doesn't really matter how old you are or how much money the club paid to bring you in. If you offer something to Unai Emery's 11 for that specific game, you're in. And that's kind of how it should be, really. Yeah,
and we saw last season Emery was a bit reluctant to use the youngsters, but that wasn't because he didn't fancy, bringing them in. It's because in that point in the season, Villa were going for something, and again, every margin counts, and could he afford to have brought a youngster in who's sort of learning on the job? Not really. Philogene's doing it in pre-season, and he's already had a year and a half in the Championship with Stoke, and then for the full season with Cardiff last season. So he's adapted and he's mature to men's football now. So I think there's definitely a role for him to play, and he's included him, and I presume he's taking this opportunity, at least from the outside. And there'll be other players who in the coming seasons, next summer, Emery will give them the chance to do it. For example, if Aaron Ramsey's sent out on loan this summer because he's injured for the next 2 weeks, which is a bit of a shame for him, but then that'll be his opportunity to do it potentially. And for those players, they have to take the chance when it arrives, and I think Philogene's done just that.
There's a couple more individuals I want to talk through from this game specifically before we move on to the kind of wider picture. John McGinn looks. I say like he's improved. He was very good at the back end of last season as well. Since Emery came in, let's say that John McGinn has been very good. It felt like he's elevated his game a little bit again, even since the back end of last season. And if he continued to improve in the way he does, he looks a magnificent player now, and the player that we thought he could have been going back a couple of years ago. John McGinn being this £50 million midfielder under Emery, he can really kick on, can't he? I think.
Yeah. I asked Emery specifically about his pressing as well, because I noticed that we all know what John McGinn gives you on the ball. He'll put his backside into the opponent and he'll roll them. I'll start with on the ball. So when Villa were trying to move the ball around today, obviously Brentford sat deep, which prevented Douglas Luiz and Kamara from pinging balls left to right and things like that. It was very short and quite intricate, which is fine because you've got a player like John McGinn who can take the ball and just roll someone, and he's direct. Sometimes it can look like possession for possession's sake, like you're keeping the ball, for possession's sake. But with John McGinn, he's got a plan to take players out of the game, and then he's got quality as well. Obviously assisted Matty Cash today. Yeah, outstanding footballer, and he's playing in a role that suits his game down to the ground. But out of possession, I asked Emery about his pressing, because there was he obviously nicked the ball in the first half, and Watkins tried to take it round. His touch was too heavy. But he said that McGinn's pressing was excellent, and that he obviously needs other players around him to help too. But when you've got someone like McGinn who knows when to initiate it and won't give that ball up as well, because the last person you want behind you is either Ollie Watkins or John McGinn if you're receiving a ball in your own box, back to goal. So, yeah, he performs a key function for Emery. And sometimes you see on like Twitter and stuff like, this would be my lineup for the next season. And I'm not knocking anyone's opinion. John McGinn's it has to be one of the first names on the team sheet. I don't care who Villa are linked with, and half the time it's false information anyway. But if it is a fancy Portuguese player or a Spanish player or whoever, and you think, you have to put him in, John McGinn's there and he's one of our best players, and whatever success we have next season, if we do, he'll be a major part of that. It's key that he's given the license to continue doing what he's doing. I've got a really loud ping in my ear then from a text from my mum.
What does she say? Just checking you're okay?
Yeah, literally that.
Thanks for tuning in, Mrs. Townley. Another individual I want to talk about very quickly is Moussa Diaby. 2 goals in 2 pre-season games for him. Looks like he's settled in very well already. And like we said in the post-Fulham show, having that danger of raw pace is very dangerous, isn't it? And I love a player with pace, and I feel like we've not had that for Well, when was the last time we had a player with genuine pace like he did?
I'd probably say Leon Bailey, but Diaby is.
Well, for 5 minutes, yeah.
But Diaby is. He's quick with the ball. Like, he knows exactly what he wants to do with it.
And
Honestly,
like quick,
winger,
intelligent as well. Like he knows what he's about to do as well. That's an underappreciated trait as well.
A winger, as everyone always says, a winger is probably the most frustrating position or player in world football because it can often be like head down, running nowhere, sort of Adama Traore style, beating loads of players, no end product. But
just kick it and run.
Yeah, Diaby's got a mix of different things, and the overall point is that the guy's quality. Like, he's got serious quality. He shifts the ball, beats a player, and he'll find a bottom corner, or he'll put the ball across the box where Watkins will hopefully tap in. It's like every game next season, I expect him to have a moment which either creates a goal or he scores a goal. And I don't know if the stats. He was well up there with goal-creating actions in the Bundesliga, and all those metrics. So to have that ability, but then adding the pace, which is the hardest thing to defend, that's everything for Villa. And if players are terrified of Moussa Diaby, but then you've got Ollie Watkins running behind you.
Exactly.
Then you've got John McGinn. Then you've got a Buendia or Jacob Ramsey, or it's honestly the position that Villa are in now. In terms of how you look at their squad, 1 to 11, it's a serious problem for every Premier League team apart from Man City.
Yeah, I'm going off on a slight tangent here because we'll be doing something similar soon, hopefully. But kind of every year we do like a big season preview, don't we, where we all get together and we go through who's going to be top scorer and where Villa going to finish and those kind of general chit-chat things ahead of the season. And this time last year we were talking about how do we get the best out of Ollie Watkins and Danny Ings together, and we did how many goals will those two score, and we were all kind of being fanciful and going 30, 35, 40, and with hindsight you think, well, it doesn't work, does it? Because those two couldn't really play together. The kind of attacking options you mentioned there are obviously very good as a kind of, 5 or 6 different options. But if Villa are playing the way they are playing at the moment, and it's Watkins and Diaby as a 2, and when we're doing these videos, when we're saying how many goals will they score between them, regardless of whether Villa bring anyone else in throughout the remainder of the window, don't even mention Cameron Archer, by the way, they could be a lethal partnership, Diaby and Watkins, that I feel like 40 goals between them, maybe.
Yeah, and it's all those players combined because, yes, Diaby is supporting Watkins, but as Emery mentioned after the game as well, McGinn and Diaby, their relationship was key because one will drop for the ball, Diaby will usually run in behind, or McGinn will be stretching space. Different combinations and stuff that Diaby, this is his second game, and yes, it's pre-season, but you can already tell that some of the partnerships that he's forming on the pitch are looking really good. And if you're blending all that together and it works in the final third for Villa, as I say, that's a serious problem for every Premier League team because I don't know how you can really combat that. If you drop deep because Diaby's too quick, but then you've got Douglas Luiz picking out passes, Kamara, McGinn, Ramsey, Watkins. There's so much talent off the bench, or whoever's starting, Tielemans, Buendia, Bailey. There's so much there. Archer, all of a sudden,
scary, really.
I think we're hitting the season with a group of players who are, touch wood, no injuries, but there's some serious options there, and it's not just names on a team sheet like as we said before, Danny Ings, Watkins, who were all kind of just hoping that because they've scored goals previously or because Danny Ings scored. But is it going to work? I think everyone knew it probably not because you have to play 2 up front and we never did. And when we did, then it's at the deficit of other things. So we have an 11 now that all seems to link together. It's now just putting into practice on the pitch, and the early signs are that Diaby is certainly doing that. And again, similar to McGinn, if Diaby's playing well, Villa are probably going to score at least 1 goal in the game, and you'd back them to keep clean sheets as well. I know that's a bit ironic after we've conceded 3 against Brentford, but spoke to Emery after the game about that. You're probably not concerned. There was a period last season when we conceded 3 to City, 4 to Arsenal, 4 to Leicester, and that was before Villa went on that 10-match unbeaten run when they conceded 4 goals, I think, from open play in 11 games. So Emery knows how to fix things, and again, the reason for the defensive deficiency is trying new things. And to be fair, Brentford were just very clinical.
To end then, we're going to do the winners, the losers of pre-season, and one to watch. We've still got 2 games left. You almost kind of feel like we've come to the end of the US tour with the season starting kind of next week. Obviously, the Championship starts next week, but there's still Lazio and Valencia for Villa to get through yet. So let's go for winners first. Then, who's come out of this US tour as kind of the winner of it so far? Would you say
the obvious one is obviously Philogene? I think that's the number one candidate. As we've mentioned previously, he's taken an opportunity and hopefully he'll be in the squad next season because he can just do a role that Emery probably didn't even think that he needed or think that Philogene could have fulfilled. But I'd say Diaby as well, because he's come in. Obviously, he didn't play the Newcastle game. He's only played twice. I'd say he's a winner because he's already fitting with his teammates and he's already made an impact. You know, if Diaby came in and he played 45 minutes against Newcastle and played 45 minutes today and, you know, did a couple of nice runs and, you know, nearly scored or something, we'd all be like, oh, he looks good. He scored twice. He's set up, or should have set up, a couple of goals in that time. He looks clinical. He looks lively. He's clearly fit. He's played, what did he play today? 60 minutes, maybe 70. He's been here for a week. He hasn't even been to Bodymoor yet. He's just jetted into the USA and just hit the ground running straight away. And again, I know it's pre-season, but these players need confidence, and it looks like he's got confidence heading into our next 2 pre-season games. But we're only, as you say, a fortnight away now. So, yeah, hopefully he can get into Bodymoor and continue to work hard and take on Emery's demands.
Next section then is the losers of the US tour, and it sounds a little bit harsh. I'm not asking you to throw anybody under the bus at all, but somebody who maybe has missed out from the tour possibly, or somebody you had high hopes for and they've not maybe had a great game or any injuries or anything like that. There's nothing off the top of my head I can think of. Is there anyone you can think of as the loser of, I said that's so weird, as the loser of pre-season?
Before the tour, if I refer to that, I did a piece on the 5 players who kind of have something to prove, I suppose, and I put Coutinho in there because I just think it's a bit of a crossroads for him now, and with Jacob Ramsey not being available for the first month of the season or so, that, like it was for Philogene, was a big opportunity for him to kind of stake a claim, and he missed the first game through injury, which, you know, might not be his fault. I don't think he did too much to influence the game against Fulham, and then today he was a bit passive as well, and I fully understand that, you know, if he's coming back from an injury, then he's got to sort of work his way back into it. So I'm putting him on hold at the moment. If he plays well against Lazio and Valencia, which I'm sure he can do, then I'll take him off. But it just seems a bit harsh to say loser. But it's but for him personally, he'll probably think, well, Villa have now 4 out of their 6 games done in pre-season, and he's nowhere closer to earning a starting shirt. And
the 2 I was going to suggest along the same vein were Cameron Archer and John Duran. Just, again, not through any fault of their own. John Duran's injured and still not featured for us yet. And it was kind of like if he was involved in this US tour, would he have played minutes? Yes, undoubtedly. If he scores a goal or something, we're all talking about John Duran as maybe he's an exciting one to look out for, but we just haven't seen him, and that's a little bit annoying. Cameron Archer as well. Obviously not scored. He missed that penalty. That was like the chance for us to go, oh yeah, Cameron Archer scoring goals. Like, here we go. Misses that ball. The penalty is a good save, to be fair, rather than that he missed it. But he's another one that, you know, it's like the managers will say things like, we'll have a good look at them in pre-season. And we've had that with Philogene. We've had a good look at him. He started 3 games. We haven't really had a good look at Cameron Archer, and we wanted to. And his future is not going to be judged on that. But as a winner or loser of the US tour, Cameron Archer hasn't done what we would like him to have done.
Yeah, he mentioned that his overall game against Fulham, which is obviously the one that he started, was very good, Emery. And he also referenced Middlesbrough as well. He clearly paid quite close attention to what he was doing.
As he should.
Yeah, and I asked him as well in Florida about Duran and Archer, and he said that Villa need to keep them both. And they've got roles to play next season. So, yeah, I feel like the ones who were on trial might have been Philogene, Aaron Ramsey, potentially Seb Revan. I don't know. I mean, there's obviously League 2 interested in him, getting him on loan, so that's probably not the case. And a couple of the other lads are probably too young to have an impact in the Premier League. You're looking at Amari Kellerman, who did very well, Caden Young, who we all know too. So I don't think I've missed any youngster out there, I don't think. No.
Okay. The last thing I wanted to talk about, it's been a long week, hasn't it? Well, I'll let you off. The last thing I wanted to mention was like one to watch for the rest of pre-season. Like I said, there's 2 games left for Villa yet before the Premier League kicks off. We've talked about Lazio being on the Thursday at Bescar, and then Valencia being in Spain on the Saturdays. That being like very close, like 2 fixtures in quick succession, Thursday, Saturday, rather than like the Europa League and Premier League would be Thursday, Sunday. But it's not like we're playing Kiddie and Hereford on the same day, and there's 2 squads going to two different places. It could be that the whole squad goes to both. I don't know whether you know different, but it could be that there's a group of players that maybe play the one game and another group of players that play the other as a possibility. I wouldn't be surprised by that. I don't know. It could be that everyone goes to both. Like I said, it's not all on the same day. But if you had to pick out one player who you're kind of excited to go and see at the Bescot or to watch it in Valencia as like
Prescott.
I know, yeah, actually at the Bescot. It sounds mad, doesn't it? Is it somebody like Coutinho where you want to be proved, whether you want them to kind of prove you wrong a little bit, or is it just like, I love Douglas Luiz, I can't wait to see him again?
I mean, I'll watch Douglas Luiz, Mr. Diaby, all those guys for, it's a privilege to do that. But to kind of flip it, I suppose I'd say, what am I interested in seeing? I'd say the like building up from defence. Emery's clearly putting a big focus on that, and I think it's very interesting that he's done kind of building from three at the back against Fulham and Brentford. So clearly he has a plan in place for that. And yes, Villa only play 6 games, but at the same time, each one of those games is very precious. And if he's trying something, he clearly sees something and clearly wants to change something. So at the moment, we are having teething problems with that. So I'd like to see how that plays out in the coming weeks, because we've only got 2 games left. So whatever Emery does now in the coming weeks, or the coming week, will probably impact what we do against Newcastle, because I highly doubt that the game that we play against Valencia or Lazio, which, as you said, Dan, might be 2 different teams, whatever they do there, I'd be surprised if then the following week against Newcastle, we then just revert to what we were doing. I mean, or maybe we will. Emery's, he can coach anything he wants, really. In terms of, he can put ideas into his players and they'll fulfil those demands. So we'll see how it goes. But I'm mainly interested, in seeing how we build up and how that sort of three at the back dynamic works.
You've seen Mr. Diaby come in and score 2 goals as a new signing. You've interviewed Tyrone Mings. You've done press conferences with Unai Emery. You spoke to El Mohammadi, of course. Our kind of top secret interview came out a couple of days ago, which was very good. We've seen the new white away kit launched, which is also very nice. Ezri Konsa, we've not even mentioned today, scored an absolute worldie. Yeah. It's been a good week or so, hasn't it? Have you had a good time?
I have, yeah. Last night was a bit ropey, though. I had critters all over the floor. It weren't fun.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Ooh.
Not good.
Critters? What do you mean? Like cockroaches and stuff?
I don't know what they were, mate, but I didn't like them. But yeah, no, I'm just saying I'm on 4 hours of sleep because of that. I don't like anything that moves, and they kept coming. Like it weren't fun, and I've got to go back there tonight. So anyway, really enjoyed my experience overall though.
That's a clip, isn't it? The social.
I said before, it's like obviously a privilege to do this and to have fans stop you in the supermarket and at the bars and stuff saying, thanks to the hard work and that. It's like I've always said, it's not a chore and it won't be a chore to cover Villa wherever. So yeah, complete privilege, and thanks for everyone for their support. It means a lot to us and obviously to me as well. It's like home away from home when there's loads of Villa fans around and they're all sort of take you in, and it's a really, really friendly. And the Villa team as well. Unai's been like a top professional to work with as well. I know I've only been here for a week, but I've spoken to him quite a lot. Spoken to Tyrone Mings and John McGinn, but they've all been class. Like what you see from Emery, like when they do the recordings and stuff, after the games, and everyone says, he's so brilliant and represents the club so well. It's exactly how you find him walking around the stadium, doing any of that. Really, really positive and friendly person, as is the rest of his team as well, his personal assistant, Damian. So, yeah, like a really nice group of people, and that's reflected across the fan base as well. So, a really positive experience, and I don't know where I'll be going next year, if I go anywhere.
Right, John, that's it. The end of the pre-season tour in the USA for you. You're heading back to the UK tomorrow. Tuesday is like our designated slot for another Claret and Blue podcast video. So we'll either record something fresh if you've had more than 4 hours sleep. And if any news has happened, of course, we'll react to it. If not, there is a video ready and primed to go on the channel already, listed as private at the moment, which is Aston Villa Confessions. You, me and James Rushton got together at Hockey Social Club before the tour, and we reacted to your people watching this anonymous confessions, which is it's a good laugh, that episode. So that's ready to go if nothing else happens between now and Tuesday. But John, thank you very much for your coverage. Thanks for your writing and the stuff that you sent back for social media, the videos and the clips and the photographs. Thank you for the 3 or 4 videos that we've done on the podcast as well. They've all been very enjoyable for me, and I hope that people who are watching have enjoyed your insight and analysis, as always, into all things Aston Villa and everything else going on over there as well. Thanks everyone for watching our coverage of the US tour. Like I said, we'll be back on Tuesday with something fresh, and then it'll be Lazio on Thursday and Valencia on Saturday, and then we're building up to the Premier League season the week after as well with our big season preview and the like, as per usual. It's been a pleasure, John. Thank you as always, and we'll see you again on Tuesday.